South Africa recently marked 30 years since the first democratic elections in 1994 that ended apartheid white minority rule. Now, as President Cyril Ramaphosa hailed the country's achievement under the leadership of the African National Congress, ANC. April 27th is the day we cast off our shackles. Freedom bells rang across all our great country. This were statements according to the president. Well, News Central's Glynnis Breytenbach put together this package.
I'm in the vibrant streets of Johannesburg, and South Africa today is commemorating Freedom Day, a day that reflects on the journey towards democracy and the sacrifices made for freedom. As South Africans honor this day, I ventured into the streets to speak to fellow South Africans about what democracy means to them and whether they believe it has truly worked. Let's hear their perspectives.
Genuinely, I don't think we are completely free, because until we realize the right to free decolonized education in South Africa, I don't think we are free. As a university student, I'm standing here today knowing that there are some peers that are financially excluded, academically excluded, and are not able to access tertiary education the way they're supposed to.
I think we're not entirely free, because considering the fact that we say we are a democratic country, whereas there are also issues that we face that we were facing before democracy occurred. And even now we have a lot of problems that when we are approaching the next elections, there are things that need to be addressed that the government is not even addressing in their manifestos.
The voices of South Africans on the street echo the sentiments of a nation striving for more just and equitable society. As they celebrate Freedom Day, it is evident that democracy has made a profound impact, yet there is a collective call for further progress and unity. I am now at the Constitutional Hill, a place steeped with history and significance of South Africans, where memories of South Africans fighting for their freedom are preserved. The stories and resilience of determination displayed here serves as a reminder of the importance of South Africa's democracy.
30 years and I'm 28 years. I'd say mostly it's partially worked, because I'm in the business sector and I've had the opportunity to explore in other endeavors. But for most of South Africa, I don't think the freedom we spoke of 30 years ago has really worked.
Freedom here is very present. I've been able to practice my culture, my religion here without any issue. And today we are celebrating the Freedom Day in South Africa, and I think that's something that South Africa has achieved in terms of freedom.
What does freedom mean to many South Africans, especially those that fought for freedom? I'm at the Constitutional Hill, where more than 20 or maybe dozens of those who fought this war are still camped here, waiting for the president to come and address them. They want the reparations that they were promised, but 30 years down the line, they have not got anything.
Namhlanje ilanga le-Freedom Day thina asinalo. Thina sihleli kabuhlungu lapha kumanje nje sivalelwa yonke indawo. Asikatholi imali yethu lesifunayo sikayifumana. Asina freedom thina. Bakhululekile ke abakhululekileyo thina sikhululekanga.
There is no freedom to this country, especially for the victims of apartheid. We was fighting for this freedom, and our president know about that. These old mothers was defend our president at Katlong.
As South Africans commemorate Freedom Day, it is clear that democracy has made a significant impact in their lives. However, there is still progress to be made to ensure that it works for all. From Johannesburg, for News Central, I am Glynnis Breytenbach.
So that report, Bongani. Well, joining me right now to, of course, shed more light on this is Member of Parliament, Shadow Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Cape Town. I'm talking about Glynnis Breytenbach. Thank you for your time.
Good evening to you.
All right. Now, my first question to you is South Africa truly free?
Well, that's a very difficult a question to answer. Certainly, yes, we're free in the sense that we're a constitutional democracy. We have entrenched rights for every single citizen in South Africa. You can practice freedom of religion. You have the rights to gather, rights to protest, rights to form a trade union. We have the rule of law. We have an independent judiciary. We have the separation of powers. And so we have all the tenets of a constitutional democracy, and certainly in that sense, we're free. South Africans, I would imagine, generally would agree that since 1994, South Africans' citizens are better off than we were prior to 1994. Everything has not gone according to plan. That is true, and there are a lot of people who are a lot worse off than they were across all segments of the population. But that's not the fault of the constitutional democracy in South Africa. That's the fault of a bad government. But are we free? I would say yes, we're free.
You said that most of the challenges are not as a result of constitutional democracy, but that of a bad government. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, certainly the ANC in government, as a liberation movement, they were exceptionally successful and admirable. They had admirable qualities, admirable tenets, admirable goals, but as a government, they have failed spectacularly so. Just for an example, you know, the rand-dollar exchange rate since 1994 has gone from 3 rand and 65 cents to the dollar to 18 rand and 40 cents. The petrol price in South Africa has gone from 2 rand 65 cents a litre in 1994 to over 24 rand a litre. Economic growth is down by 4.5%. Then it was 4.5%. Now it's 0.3%. So you know the economy has been all but destroyed. State-owned enterprises, Escort, Transnet, Spoornet, Portnet, the Post Office, the SABC, SAA, Eskom, Atlas Aircraft, all of those since 1994 have been destroyed by bad governance. That has led to the highest unemployment rate in the world. South Africa has the highest youth unemployment rate in the world. And so often you will hear South Africans say, and they're quite correct, you can't eat freedom. So while we are free, and it's wonderful to be free, and again, that covers all segments of the population, I would imagine, everybody is happier and better off since 1994.
Okay,
but
I mean,
poor government, bad government, and absolutely rampant corruption has caused a massive unemployment rate, and that has caused South African standard of living to drop significantly.
I mean, you've listed quite a number of issues concerning the ANC and their flaws, but also I'd like to also talk about the violence ranking in South Africa. According to some surveys, South Africa has been ranked as, if not the most violent country, you know, on the continent. And you talked about unemployment. I mean, you were part of government. You are a decision maker. You're a major stakeholder when it comes to that voice, you know, of change.
No, you're incorrect. We're not. I'm a member of the official opposition, and we're not in government, and we have no control over what the government does or how they govern.
But okay, so my question to you now is, as opposition, what are you doing about these statistics?
Well, we're doing quite a lot. We hold the ANC to account. We've litigated mercilessly in order to force them to up their game. We've had to hold them to the rule of law in our courts. We've had to, in the provinces and in the municipalities where the official opposition, the Democratic Alliance, governs. Where we govern well. The difference is palpable. Service basic services are provided, there's proper service delivery, taxpayers' money is spent on that which uplifts the environment and the conditions of the taxpayer. We get clean audits in every single DA-run municipality. That's all of them, without any exception. We get clean audits, and that can't be said for any other municipality. So, for instance, the Democratic Alliance is the provincial government in the province of the Western Cape in South Africa. We have the lowest crime rate in South Africa, and the statistics show that the crime rate is decreasing, not increasing. We have the lowest gender-based violence rates in South Africa, and the statistics show that that's decreasing, not increasing, like the rest of the country. So yes, we have a lot of violent crime. We have a lot of crime. South Africa is crime-ridden, and that's for a variety of reasons. But when you have the highest unemployment rate in the world and the highest youth unemployment rate in the world, that's one of the results thereof, is that the crime rate goes up. People are desperate. They have to eat. They cannot find work. They have no place to go. They have children to feed, and so that's no excuse. But it's the result of a massive collapse of the economy and of employment opportunities in this country. The Democratic Alliance does have policies in place in the Western Cape and elsewhere where we govern that work.
All right.
So
now,
in the Western Cape, the unemployment rate is decreasing.
I mean,
created more jobs in the Western Cape than the
you're
rest of
talking
South
about
Africa
unemployment
together.
and jobs, and do you think issues like this would spur people or South Africans to sort of want to turn things up or switch things up, in the coming elections? Do you foresee a situation where maybe in years there might just be a political paradigm shift?
Well, one can only hope. 30 years into a constitutional democracy, we've seen the decline of absolutely every facet of our society. We've seen the dependence on social grants increase exponentially. We've seen the unemployment rate grow constantly. And so, if South Africans now cannot bring themselves to read the manifestos of the various parties and decide for themselves that the ANC is going nowhere and is taking us nowhere, and that it's really time for them to go, well, then I don't know what will convince them. The ANC as a government has failed horribly, and South Africa honestly can't take another 5 years of this. So I urge South Africans to read widely, think deeply, and then look around them and see what's happening, and understand that only a huge, as you put it, paradigm shift in politics can rescue South Africa from this quagmire of corruption and crime.
All right, let's also go back in history. I remember that, one of the process of healing that the former president, the late Nelson Mandela, did initiate was some sort of reconciliation process. A country just coming out of apartheid. The objective was to allow people heal and also forgive so that the country can proceed and move forward. Do you think South Africans have actually healed? I'm talking about the Black South African community.
Of course. I must say at the outset that it's not so easy to heal. And 30 years is not, in my view, a long time span in which to heal. I think South Africans have the ability to overcome our really, really ravaged past. We have a fraught past, and I do believe we have the ability to overcome it. I think that we've gone a long way down the road towards reconciliation, and I think Black South Africans in particular have been particularly magnanimous in their approach. So I do think that going forward into the future in this country, we will reach a point where our past will never be forgotten, and it should never be forgotten, that we're able to draw a line in the sand and move forward and build a country together, despite our past. We cannot forget our past. We must never forget it, because we can never, ever go back there. But we do need to move forward. If we're going to build a country where young people get jobs, where young people get access to a proper education, where people get proper healthcare, and where people have access to upward mobility in a growing economy so that there's a future for them and more particularly for their children, then we have to find a way to work together to make that happen.
All right.
I do believe we can.
All right, Glynnis, thank you so much for your contribution on the program. Glynnis Breytenbach, Member of Parliament, Shadow Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development from Cape Town, South Africa. Once again, thank you so much for your time. All right, and that's a wrap on today's episode of the program. But before we go, on a very personal note, and that's, of course, to Nigerians out there, I mean, for an average Nigerian who is just going about his daily bread, I think we've just had enough when it comes to fuel scarcity issues. I mean, there are days you must have planned your life, and then you just go out and you realize you see queues at the filling stations. At some point, it really gets tiring. I think in situations like this, it just prompts one to look for alternatives. You know, I'm someone who personally does not believe in excuses. I believe in getting things done. And maybe if the normal isn't working, we might just choose to look elsewhere. Maybe at this point, Nigerians might just start considering electric vehicles. I know it's a pretty much, well, I call it a very, very, early stage, but it starts from somewhere. Some Nigerians have even started switching. So maybe we might just look into other means. But it's not an excuse also for the government not to do what it needs to do. Government really needs to sit up and stop these excuses. My name is Dakwa Adigboye. In case you missed the program, you might actually, follow us up on YouTube. The handle still remains at News Central TV. Bye for now.